Hi, I'm Pink142, aka Taylor, and today I'm going to be, if you've read the title of this video, you know that I'm not doing original songs versus cover songs, part 3, which one is better. I will try to do that next week. I just decided to do something different this week because of the recent protests over George Floyd's death, which is a tragic death. I will acknowledge that, and may he rest in peace. But I wanted to react to the protests and get my thoughts on all these protests. So, uh, a lot of you may or may not know this, but I am from Tulsa, Oklahoma, and if you know your U.S. history, more specifically your Tulsa history, you know that in 1921, Tulsa had the largest race massacre in history, and and you're probably wondering, well, what is Tulsa doing in these having protests? Yes, we are having protests. Am I involved with them? No, not because I don't want to. It's just that I don't own a car, and two, just for my safety, because I do have some health issues. I would rather stay at home and not catch the coronavirus, and just out of safety for me and my family, just better if I don't protest. But I do protest on the side. At home, I protest at home, and Saturday we did in Tulsa. They did have a protest uh, for the for George Floyd's death, in honor of his death. And we also had a protest last night from, I believe it was from like 5 to 7 or something, and it ended up on one of our expressways, I 244. And something crazy, I never thought I'd ever witness this. And a truck actually, with a uh, horse trailer attached on the back. You can probably find it here on YouTube. I would recommend you watch it. Decided to barrel through the crowd that was on the expressway, and the expressway was blocked off, but this truck decided like that it was not good enough to wait, and couldn't wait. So barreled through the crowd. Two people got hurt. Another person, his bike got like lodged underneath the truck, and he was able to get the his bike out, his bicycle out, and it got damaged, but he was fine. But two people got taken to the hospital, and I was watching it live as it was happening, and I couldn't believe that it was happening. And things, it was just a peaceful protest, unlike places in like Minneapolis and Atlanta, where, and even in Oklahoma City, where people are having these violent protests. Well, around 9:30 last night, I was on my phone actually. I was listening to music, and my dad walks in and tells me that I needed to come in and watch this, go into the living room and see what was going on TV. So I did. I paused my music and I went in there, and I couldn't believe what I was watching. People were protesting on Brookside and Tulsa, and I was like, and they were being peaceful. The police were like blocking their way to keep on peacefully protesting. And at one point in the at one point during that night, last night, someone decided, because the reason why the police were involved with got involved was because someone decided they were going to pick up a brick, and they were going to turn violent, which uh, the police had to get involved because they thought violence was going to happen. It was going to be a violent protest. And so, they were able to get the people protesting were able to get this person to put the brick down, and it became peaceful until someone decided to throw some water bottles at the police, and the police threw pepper balls and uh, I forgot, and tear gas. I couldn't think of what it was called. Tear gas at the crowd, at the protesters, and one of the reporters of the Channel 8, which I was watching Channel 8. One of the reporters, he got hit with a couple of pepper balls. Him and his cameraman got hit, and he was having a hard time, and I was like, this is crazy. I mean, yeah, they threw a water bottle. Yeah, person shouldn't have did that. But it's not like they were throwing like bombs or anything or throwing or shooting at you. It was just a peaceful protest, and one person just took it too far. And then I kept on watching it, and then all of a sudden, like about an hour and a half later, they uh they were still on Brookside, and there was a house on Brookside that someone thought it'd be cool to shoot off what looked like a firework. To me, it looked like a firework, and even the reporters that were reporting this thought it was a firework. Decided to uh, shoot off a firework at this person's house, and the police didn't do anything about it. They backed away, and the police told them like, hey, let's like you guys are they were at, I believe it was like 41st and Peoria, if I remember correctly. It was late at night, and I was kind of emotionally drained because of what's been going on with family. And so I think it was like 41st and Peoria, and the police had told the protesters not to keep on going forward, told them to just stop, and they're not moving anymore. And then the police just gave up and they left. And all of a sudden, like, Channel 8 was uh, taking a break, and they were going in breaks and stuff, going commercial breaks. And at one point in time, one of the new reporters that they had brought to the scene to, I guess, relieve one of the reporters, I don't know, he was in one of the shopping centers in Tulsa, and all of a sudden, people were throwing rocks at him and his cameraman, throwing rocks at him, and then throwing rocks at this pawn shop, and they started becoming violent. And then when they were like, okay, we're gonna continue with our regularly scheduled programming, and I never saw them go back on the air. I ended up just turning off the TV and going to bed because I was tired, and it was crazy. And the thing that I love about Tulsa is that we're not violent people. We're not ones to like go and vandalize cars, vandalize businesses, but we did last night. People just were upset, and it was a heat of the moment. But for the most part, we've been very it, and so it was the 99th. No, it's been 99 years yesterday since the Tulsa Race Massacre happened, and I'm not going to go into exactly what the race massacre was. You guys can do research on your own, but basically, the Tulsa, basically yesterday was just the 99th anniversary of it, and so that's why they were protesting. They were protesting last night in honor of that, and they were going to have a candlelight vigil, which I don't think ever happened, and people just got too violent. But we're not. Our protests haven't been violent because of the Tulsa Race Massacre. We don't want something like that to happen again. We don't. And but Oklahoma City, they took it too far. They uh blew up cars. They didn't blow up cars, but they set police cars on fire. They spray painted the Capitol building. I mean, they their protests became violent over the weekend. Places like Atlanta and Minneapolis, they became violent. And I my thoughts on those violent protests is that, like, what does that solve? That solves nothing. It solves nothing. Like, you're no better than the police that are killing these black citizens. You're no better than them, and you're not really proving a point. What point are you proving? I think you do better when you protest peacefully. I mean, you get your message across a lot better if you protest peacefully. Please do not protest violently. I I can't stress that enough, because it sucks when I turn on the TV and I turn on the news and I see buildings in Atlanta or in Minneapolis or in Oklahoma City being blown up, being caught, being set on fire, cars being set on fire, buildings being destroyed. That sucks. Like, I have 3 nieces. I don't want them. I don't want them seeing that. I don't want them thinking that this is the world that they live in. This is how the world is. It's not. And like I have friends. I have friends of that are African American. I have African American friends. I have one that lives in Chicago. He's an actor for the Chicago at the Chicago Playhouse. And I worry about him sometimes because he does live in Chicago, and Chicago is a very violent city. They're very they have a high crime rate, and I worry that like one day he's gonna drive to work and the police is gonna hurt him, shoot him because he's black. I worry about that sometimes because it can happen. And I'm kind of on the fence with this whole thing because I have a cousin who's in law enforcement in Tulsa. And like I understand why people are mad, and I'm mad too. I was mad with that truck, with the truck barreling uh through the crowd because the person they were going to they stopped for like 5 seconds and then left. They told the police that they were scared, and then they left. They just drove off. The Oklahoma Highway Patrolman did not do anything about it. They didn't arrest the guy. They didn't give the guy a citation. They didn't do anything. They let him go. And 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 I'm like, if my cousin would have been there, he probably would have arrested the guy or given him a citation or something. Would have given him a ticket or did something because I know my cousin wouldn't hurt anyone. Like he wouldn't kill a person unless the person was trying to shoot him, trying to kill him. I know that's what he would do because that's what he was trained to do, and that's how I feel. But I feel like so many people are just upset with George Floyd's death, and yeah, I'm upset too because that shouldn't have happened. He wasn't resisting arrest, but that doesn't mean you should go and burn down buildings, destroy cars, destroy businesses. There's no need for that. You can do it. You can do a peaceful protest. You can do a peaceful protest. It doesn't have to resort. You don't have to resort to violence because I know that uh, George Floyd wouldn't want you to be violent. He would not want you to be violent. I know that Terrence Crutcher, if you guys don't know who Terrence Crutcher is, Google him. He was shot and killed by an officer and wasn't doing anything. He was just like the officer that shot him said that she was fearing for her life. Officer Betty Shelby. She feared for her life, and even though she had 2 other officers with her, she still shot him, and he died. I know that he wouldn't want people resorting to violence. I know all these. I know that Martin Luther King Jr., even Malcolm X, would not want anyone to resort to violence. Please do a peaceful protest if you're going to protest. And if you are going to protest, at least you have, like, be all on the same page. Let all the people that are going to be at this protest, let them know where they're going, what they're doing, because there was so much confusion last night that like reporters were asking him like, well, where are you guys going next? What are you guys doing next? What's next for you guys? And these people that they were interviewing had no clear understanding what they were going to be doing. So if you're going to protest, have a peace, have a clear unity, have someone, have a leader, have a couple of leaders telling you what you're going to do, telling you about this protest, how this protest is going to go. That way, no one's confused, and please just make it peaceful because I don't want to see any more people dying, and I I don't like seeing violence. I don't like seeing those images of Atlanta being burned down. I don't like seeing the images of or video of that in Atlanta, Minneapolis, or Oklahoma City. I don't want to see that. we should do a peaceful protest, and we need to, and please quit, just stop attacking the black community and people of color, please. I told my dad this. I said, because he was telling me a story about a guy that he used to work with, who actually was the reason why him and my mom got together, the reason why my parents got together. He was stopped by a police officer. This was years ago. Got stopped by a police officer. There was like good 20 police officers chasing him, and they thought he was a guy because they said it matched the description of the car that he was driving that was stolen. It wasn't even the car that he was driving, but they stopped him because he was black. He was black, and I told my dad, if you would have been in that car driving and he hadn't been in that car, if you were the one driving that car by yourself, they wouldn't have stopped you because you're white. But if you're black, you get stopped. You get killed. You don't hear about white people getting killed. You don't hear that. You hear about the black people getting killed. And it's not right. It's not right. We should all be treating each other equally and be together as one, because that's what we're supposed to be doing. And I will say this, like, we have done a lot better over the years, because in like the 60s with the civil rights movement, I wouldn't have been able to go to school with my friend that lives in Chicago if I was alive in the 60s going to school. I wouldn't have been able to do that. My uh and like I remember in 5th grade we were learning about, I think, either the civil rights movement or slavery, and one of the girls in my class, she was black, and she said, "I'm proud to be a black woman today, because back in the 60s, 50s, 60s, I wouldn't have been able to go to school with you guys because of my color, because of the color of my skin." So I'm happy about that. And like, I got me thinking, like, Martin Luther King Jr. would be proud of how far we've come. But now we even though we've taken 10 steps forward, it's like I feel like we're taking 10 steps back. And like, I know that we've come so far, and I'm quoting Hairspray on this, but we've come so far, but we've got so far to go. Like, we've come a long way, but we still got a long way to go before we can all become equal and there be no racists on this planet. My wish is to get rid of all racism, get rid of all racism and racists in the world, but in today's society, that's not possible. That would be my perfect world. My perfect world would be everyone joining hands. No coronavirus. There's no coronavirus. There's people are joining hands. People are laughing, having a great time. There's no bigotry, racism, nothing like that. Everyone just lives in peace and harmony. That would be my perfect world. But right now, that's not possible. And I just feel like if you're going to protest, please make it peaceful. Please make a peaceful protest. Do not make a violent protest, because that's not what we should be doing right now. Because too many lives are being lost because of violent protests, and so many people in this economy right now with COVID-19 going on, those businesses that you're destroying, they don't have any money to rebuild because of this COVID-19. Think about them. About think about, like, would you want your children to see you being violent? Is that what you want to teach your children? You want to teach them to be violent? No. You want to teach them to be peaceful and to protest in peace. That's all I want. And that's all I have to say about that. Post in the comments below what you think about this whole protest, all these protests, and may uh I forgot his name, but yeah, may George Floyd and Terrence Crutcher and anyone and everyone who's been killed due to racism and the police brutality, may they all rest in peace, and hopefully they're able to like live in peace and harmony up in heaven. Hopefully they're able to do that. So yeah, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and hit that notification bell, because on next Monday, hopefully I will do the top. I mean, hopefully next Monday I will do the original versus cover songs part 3, and on Friday I'm thinking about doing best uh for the best games ever. I'm thinking about doing the best music soundtracks. So don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Bye.